Hey Bomb Blog, massively foggy day. We're out in the Wari National Forest. This is a place called the Birkhead Wilderness, this particular section. It's got a nice little loop. We've come here backpacking. We'll kind of highlight some of the spots we stopped at before. It's got nice little kind of occasional water spots. It's about a 7-mile loop. You can kind of hear the rain dropping, but it should be a wonderful day. Let's see if we can get to it and have some fun. Major mud. You'll kind of notice we've hit the junction from that parking lot we started at. And of course, you can go either way, but this will actually loop back around to itself and you'll end up right back here to come back to the parking lot. Well, apparently if you pan off this way, you can realize that good sections have flooded and are draining down all the way down to where the trail is supposed to be. So today the trail has become quite the obstacle course for all those Spartan fans out there. Yeah, pet that foot. You don't want to pet that foot again. No. Along the trail you can see a couple of spots where there's campsites and people have left wood. They're kind of dotted all along this trail, and we'll try to point out a couple as we pass them. He's coming for you. I believe off to this one side there were, yep, I can just barely see it. There's a campsite down there with a fire ring. Nice part is, if you are a hammock camper, there's a fair amount of good strong trees down in there to camp from. Okay, we came up on another junction, and you'll notice there's kind of two ways, one towards Thornburg and Robbins Branch, or Birkhead Mountain Trail. The Birkhead Mountain Trail is actually what does the Robbins Branch loop. Little bit of thing, of course, you always carry a paper map, which I've got with me. The other thing I use is AllTrails. So I have all the maps pre-downloaded, and you can use your GPS to figure out where you are. So I could see we were coming into this intersection and need to go that way. I have the whole routes, the topographics, and all the maps already with me. But if for whatever reason it stopped working, you always got to have your paper. If there's another way around this creek, because it is actually flowing quite well and somewhat deep across all this, but there is a nice campsite right along this water source. Kind of a nice little area. I'm gonna go see what we can find here, because that is more water than it appears, but I think I can make it across the rocks to there, which is where the trail goes. And more squish.
Look at that one.
I think you have to step on the log.
Yeah, and not fall in the creek.
Uh-huh. You got this. Hoorah. Okay, to yet another water crossing. Hey, that's a really close campsite and a little bench. Some wonderful places to camp in here. Big old tree that's down. Oh, and back across the river. Or is it off that way?
I don't know. Which way do we go?
Looks like there's a trail right there.
I'm wondering if I could
You might be able to sneak in.
get the stuff under the river. Now, that looks a little dangerous.
I think the best might be.
How's my long to it? Yeah.
You want to hold the camera and I'll go first?
I mean, I...
Very, very cold water. Well, occasionally, going around the water pile, I grabbed a branch above me. Branch came down, beat me over the head. No. What you gonna do? On to finding our way up what I believe is that hill, which means I think we gotta cross the creek yet again. So coming shortly. And the water just continues to give as streams flow across the trail and into even more gorgeous ones that continue to flow. We think we need to go over that way somewhere. Time to keep at it. Yet more slush. But the bend in the creek reveals yet another campsite on a nice little peninsula. Doesn't seem to have a ton of trees for hammocks, but still a gorgeous little site. And I've noticed how many have piled up wood ready. So, as we continue to chase this creek. Oh, that fun when you try to figure out if this is the creek you were crossing, but it looks way too small. And then you look over to your side and you realize that's the main creek going off around that way. And this one is a giant slushy.
I'm going that way.
So I'm gonna go here.
I like slushies, but not mud slushies.
Go girl.
Yum.
And keep moving.
Oh,
But it looks like the main creek is still progressing to our side. As you should be able to see it off over there. Down in that crevasse. Well, we just climbed quite a few hundred feet, made it to the top, never ended up crossing that creek again, but ended up thinking we found where the creek starts and where it actually flows down. So I'm gonna go find my way across this giant muddy mess and see if we can get to what I believe is the intersection sign just up there. Well, that sign I could see in the distance is now here. And you'll notice there is two directions for the Birkhead Mountain Trail. You want to head south if you want to head back to that parking lot we came from. North heads up to another section of the park. A couple other offshoots. But we're mainly worried about Birkhead Mountain Trail heading that way. Well, we've come up that massive hill, kind of hit that intersection. And now along the top of the ridge, there's a bunch of scattered little sites with some decently large trees for hammocks and other things, fire pits, plenty of wood. The downside is there is not a lot of water up here. So you would need to have carried it from the creek that way. Otherwise, I believe there's a creek about a mile or two that way.
Oh, someone lost the bracelet.
Yet another intersection, another nice little campsite. Of course, there's a camp, I believe, down in there, about a mile away, Camp 3. Of course, we're going to keep following Birkhead Mountain Trail down to the next intersection.
Yeah. That was gross.
Ooh, I'm cheating.
Cheater. Yeah, I'm gonna cheat too. I'm not about that injury life.
Well, we've completed most of the ridge, which is kind of some fairly kind of just up and down, easy walking, fairly dry today. Starting to head back down towards the next intersection, but as you may notice kind of off in the distance, it all starts to drop back down, which probably means we're going back towards the wet section. Let's get to this. Interesting enough, this is one of those ones, I think the first time we were here we made this, because you're coming down here and you see this split. And we ended up going that way first, which actually ends up going on private property. Now, nice part is somebody has makeshifted some kind of pole. But you'll notice the blazes. A lot of times when a trail turns, you'd have a blaze, and the upper blaze would be off to the right to let you know the trail turns. This one says straight, and it's in the middle of two trails, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but we know it goes that way. Well, we came just around the corner. Well, you go down them steps, but you look at that muddy mess. She's trying to skirt along the outside. I'm gonna do the same, except for so often my mass does not equal not sinking and not sliding. We did. This was not here before. So we got Hannah's Creek, Birkhead, the one we're on, followed by another Birkhead sign. So I don't know if that sign looks nicer, but I don't know. But we're going that way.
We do know that.
Well, we kind of came to another interesting intersection. You've got a sign for Bingham's Graveyard.
This white.
A little trail that kind of looks like it goes off that way. A trail that goes that way, which is yellow, which we weren't following yellow. And then as we looked back, we could see white blazes way down there. We're pretty sure we go that way. This trail keeps just trying to give me big old deep ponds right in the middle.
Pond over here.
Mini pond. We're going to take a little tour. But this literally has been most of the day. We can kind of see a nice little river off to the side that we are paralleling that honestly I don't remember from previous trips through here. It's decent size. Well, I don't know if it's technically a river, but it's definitely not the streams we've crossed in the past. Well, a pump for like water filtration. Well, this was definitely not like this last time. There was definitely, because that is deeper than you would imagine.
There's our white blaze right there.
The white blaze is over there, but it gets deep-ish. But I think we're gonna have to just and try to get up that bank, which probably means me go first to get up the bank to help you up the bank. You want to hold the camera?
Yep.
I'm gonna go have some fun.
Sounds good. It's a what? Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Ice, ice, baby. All right, so let's get the camera.
And then lock one arm with me.
We're gonna do this.
And
We're good.
away from that thing and to our white blaze. Well, after that wonderful creek crossing and a trail that kind of just disappears, it continues to be somewhat hard to find. Well, even after all that creek crossing, we ended up towards a parking lot down that way. Lo and behold, the mountain trail did not get us where we wanted to go. And we ended up coming back to this crazy intersection, and we're gonna head that way. Now, we did realize later, this one says Robbins Branch Trailhead, 1.7 miles. Whereas this one doesn't say that. It says that is Hannah's Creek, which are probably one and the same, but it'd been nice to not have two confusing signs. So we're gonna go 1.7 that way and get back to. Well, now that we're back on the back same course, we ended up starting to come in to where we think one of our favorite backpacking camps is. We found the tiny little river here where we got water, and we decided it was a nice place to fill up. And just up the hill, we'll show you, is the camp we actually stay at. And literally, maybe just 100 feet up the hill, here's the campsite that we've always loved. Come on in here. It has always had plenty of rocks for seats, benches, wonderful fire pit. And you'll notice there's a bunch of flat spaces for tents, hammock setups, whole 9 yards. It's a great little spot. And it's probably only 1.5 miles from coming the other way around the loop. Wonderful place. I found yet another crossing. I'm gonna go have some fun.
Time to get nice and cold again. It's a... Woo! Lots of squishy.
Well, it's about that time. We've hiked through it. In the distance, we see the parking lot and the cars. Give you a little close-up on. So we ended at 7.57 miles, roughly just under 3.5 hours. 1,214 feet of ascent, and I personally burned 1,500 calories. So it is now time to go grab some grub and tell the next trail.